I'm completely obsessed with being seen as well as heard. No, not saying that I need people to see me. That is not my sole intention. I had to question, like they said, you're oftentimes told to question your intention as in the area of why you're doing things. And one thing I've come to realize is I am completely obsessed with being seen as well as heard. Like I need to be seen as much as I'm being heard. That's what I'm trying to say. Like as if that's a lifelong purpose of mine. In the past, that has been known to upset people as well as make them get mad at me. People have said, oh, you think you're a celebrity. Oh, you think you're this. Oh, you think you're that. No, that's not it. To see, okay, it's starting to add up. To see and understand, to need to be seen as well as heard is to know and understand the art potential behind it in the form of marketing, mass media, marketing. In relation to that, advertising, there is a scene in being heard in that. Even in relation to the people that run the behind the scenes arena of that. When I used to be on social media platforms, I constantly showed my face for hours on end in my free time as well as my music to more and likely improve not just my writing skills, but as well as my performance skills in the area of making others see me, my face, as well as my music. And yet my sole intention, mind you, at that time, and me doing that, I was kind of like, in a sense, selling my music, because to market a face is to show it, right? Seeing and knowing people's whereabouts. To market a face is to show your face as well as the product to go with it, which was in fact my music. And yet that was not my sole intention, was to get people to buy my music. The sole intention was to get them to buy my face in the area of marketing, advertising, and promotions. It's one of the main things in which I am totally obsessed with. It's a hidden obsession. And yet many people don't know that. And yet many people that have experienced me doing it truly knows. But they didn't know what was my full intention behind that. They just thought that I was being so full of myself. But remember, to sell a product, even at face value, is to understand you got to be full of that very thing in order to sell it. Nobody wants an empty project, is all I'm trying to say. Nobody wants to buy an empty product. So that's why people who practice the art of marketing and advertising, that's why they come across full of themselves in the area of putting down their competitors. Ah ha ha ha, you can't do this. Ah ha ha ha, you can't do that. I can do this better than you can do it. That's what I was doing in the realm of marketing and advertising of my music and showing my face constantly on social media platforms such as a Facebook and even Twitter, and going up, say in battle against other artists that was on there that thought they had it together, and yet I was showing myself as something much more better than them. Because remember, that's what the game of marketing and advertising is. It's going up against your competitors to see who can actually in fact win the game. It's a science even behind that. Understand psychology. To sell emotion at people's faces to get them to buy, right? And so to be obsessed in the area of wanting to be seen as well as heard, and not just heard, is to know you're a full-blown marketing and advertising beast, in which I am, even today. And yet I don't fully speak on it. But anytime you see me doing anything, just like when Janet Jackson did her concert and her show, and I knew it was coming before many of the public knew, right? I was on the Twitter marketing certain stuff in relation to her. And people wondered and was in question of if I worked for the woman, and no. But to be a marketing animal, as in a beast, is to do it right. As even helping to sell a global artist of that magnitude. I'm in fact a marketing genius. See, because people hate stuff like that. People, a lot of times, when you speak highly and clearly of yourself in the area of what you know how to do, and you put it out there, and people are drawn to what you are doing, it's to never say to them that you are a genius, but why not? That you are a genius, but why not? Why wouldn't you claim the very thing in which you are? That makes no sense. That makes no sense. See, Oprah Winfrey is in fact a marketing genius. Oprah Winfrey is. She's a trailblazer in the realm of marketing. Because see, marketing is at the forefront of everything in which Oprah stamps her name to. Because even the name Oprah itself sells her in relation to marketing. It's a marketing package in itself, the name Oprah. Oprah ain't never got to open her mouth one time in a day, and yet she stamped the name Oprah to something, and people are willing to buy just because they know her by that. Because remember, to stamp your name on something is in fact marketing and advertising once it's on the TV commercial or whatever else, right? And so Oprah knows that she's a marketing beast. Oprah knows she is in fact genius, despite her having a team of many people as well as affiliates working for her. Oprah herself knows that she's a genius at running the game of marketing. Yes, she does. Passing the torch is to know and understand what is to be said. So, many people misunderstood me even back then of what I was doing. Because see, even myself, I didn't know. All I knew, even when I was a young kid coming up, on social media and even on MySpace, all I wanted to do was promote. I wanted to promote the hell out of everything. I didn't care what it was, as long as it was music or as long as it was TV. I didn't care what it was. I didn't care how it looked, how it smelled, what it smoked like, or whatever. I just was promoting it. And even when I was a Janet Jackson fan, way back then, was that before MySpace or after? Somewhere around that time frame, I had a necklace on that said Janet Street Team. Janet Street Team, like Janet Jackson Street Promotion Team, that was the intention of that necklace. So I always had the game in the realm of the art form of promotion within me. To promote something is to sell it by ways of the eyes in front of the national public or even in front of mass media globally on a platform. My spirit and soul has marketing embedded in it. And yet I don't even know where that come from. Because you can ask my mom, as in standing question with her, of why when I was a younger kid, why I had obsession with photos. I used to be completely obsessed with photos that I would put them all around the room. Like how people do their posters when they admire and love somebody. I used to do that, but not even only of celebrity type of people like a Janet Jackson or who else I had. I had Janet, I had Aaliyah. I had all type of different people on my walls. I had Usher, and yet I had other stuff on my walls as well, like vehicles, like a Hummer. I remember I had a bright yellow Hummer, big poster on my wall. And some other type of stuff, like fashionada type stuff from like places like home decor, like Pier 1 Imports and stuff like that. I would put stuff up on my wall of photographs that I ripped out of magazines. Just marketing obsession. That's my thing. I'm a total, because see, marketing, as I said before, photographs represents the very thing in which you're trying to sell. And yet to be obsessed with photographs where you would in fact rip pages out of a magazine just because you like how they look and put them up on your wall is weird in itself. Yet I was doing that way back, going back into my childhood, even into my teens, looking in a Lore magazine or even Vanity Fair and ripping out photos. And sometimes it wasn't even celebrities. It could be anything. A fashion outfit that a model has on. You know, it could be some real nice silverware in a photo. My eye is completely glazed as in obsessed with photographs. in the movement of photographs and the stories that they tell. Because marketing is, in fact, what that stands as. Marketing is nothing more than the photo, as in what it's trying to sell, and the story that plays a part into that, what you're in fact trying to sell. That's all marketing is. The photo as well as a story. Having the art of storytelling down is what marketing is. So I'm a sense a marketing genius, and yet these days I won't fully take the time, the older I get, to be spread all amongst these. Because back then I used to be posting everywhere. I didn't care who's seen or who what. Outside of Facebook and outside of like Twitter and MySpace, stuff like that, I would just post everywhere. Forums everywhere. Because I needed to be seen as well as heard. But my intention was not really for you to listen to my music, is what I'm trying to say. And yet that's what I was in fact trying to sell. I was trying to sell to you music, but I was showing my face along with a little story to go in it. You know, a little story to go with that, with the face as well as the music. So it was being seen as well as heard. But I really didn't care if you didn't listen to the music. All that mattered to me was the fact that you seen my face. I'm obsessed with that thing. And once again, it's not for when I show my face and I need for it to be seen. It's not for the sole intention for you to tell me how worthy I am. Because remember, I feel that within. That's the only way for me to be able to speak on this camera, is if I have some self-value. I feel highly of myself, although at times I feel lost in spaces of where I should go next. I feel like within I feel full. Just like Oprah says she feel full. Oprah said that. Many people didn't like when Oprah Winfrey said that she feels full within. That's how I feel finally. Within I feel completely full. So to be full is to share, right? That's the sole intention. And yet for me to show my face is not to say I'm better than you. It's not to say I stand above you, right? But it's to say that I need to be seen as well as heard. And yet you, the viewer, cannot in fact build my self-esteem upon that or even out of that. That's not the intention. I just need to be seen and heard, because in the realm of me doing this, I in fact are selling something. See, my sole intention, I keep sensing that. I've been knowing that since the beginning in the art form of promotion when I used to do it. You know, you can do street promotion even online that goes on today. Selling people, even helping to sell major artists, even to sell somebody like an Oprah Winfrey, right? I need to always be seen as well as heard so that I can sell you something. That's what I'm saying. I can't go invisible no more, as in hiding out, go hiding in the closet or going hiding away. I can't do that anymore. My face need to always be seen, and I need to always be heard, because that's my purpose. That's marketing. I can sell anything. And yet, even though I haven't been putting in the whole focus as intention of getting all over the place, posting my face like I used to, the older I get, I just kind of been leaning back from that. But even me being here on YouTube, that's my face. You don't have to see anything else. You ain't got to see me walking through this house. You ain't got to see me getting in and out of no RV. You ain't got to see me going through the store. But as long as you see my face and you hear my voice, I feel like I'm doing something of substance. My purpose in life. Everyone has a purpose, and yet not everyone lives to greet that purpose for what it is, as in meeting it for the day in the daytime. When I get on YouTube and I make videos, I know that I am in fact playing a part of marketing, as in living my purpose, despite letting go the outcome of which way I think that stuff should go and what it should revolve around in area of topics. But once I get done, I feel completely full. I feel completely full, even like I do when I do marketing in other realms. It's something about that. As even the universe is trying to show me that maybe marketing should be at the forefront of everything I do. outside of and besides just music itself. Because see, even music can sell itself, but if you're not willing to market and advertise like I used to do back in the day, then there's no point of doing it unless you're doing it for hobby reasons. It is. People do music for enjoyment purposes and not for business purposes, and I can really respect that, because see, sometimes to do music and not understand what you're doing in the realm of business and doing it with corporations is to be completely gotten over on if you don't know what you're doing. And I spoke about that. I understand that, as in understanding the royalties, who I need to get with, who I need to see, what area I need to figure out in relation to attorneys, who I need to contact with that. I understand the business law aspect of music, right? But when it comes to creating it, my heart and soul is there, right? My heart and soul is completely there for music, as in the love of creating it. But somehow, some way, and I don't know what that is, as in the universe is probably driving me, but marketing always seemed to come first. It keeps falling in my lap is what I'm trying to say. I could be doing music 1 minute and be like, hold up, I gotta stop. I need something I need to say, as in something that needs to be told, as in untold, as in spoken of and brought further in order for me to sell something to you. Yes, marketing. This is a whole twisted affair, as in sometimes my words being garbled, trying to speak without a script. And yet to not go one way is to go every which way in conversation, right? Where all meets and all adds up, but it's like when I'm not seen and I'm not heard, even if nobody watched these videos, it's like my face still has to always be there. I don't know what that is. I need to pray and ask the universe about that one. Because when I went on hiatus, when you disappear, I was like, I just am not on being online. I ain't trying to be doing anything. I ain't trying to be seen. And that's because the point of that was the universe was trying to show me I need to study so that I could get through whatever school so that I can graduate. Which is why I took a step back on everything, right? It's like I was being led, as in being guided to go here and there and to stop certain stuff so that I can get my studies in, so that I can go ahead and finish school where I started and never finished, right? That was the sole intent. But during that time, I didn't want to be nowhere online, being seen and being heard. And yet to not be seen and heard on my end is for me to slowly die out, which was in fact feeling like it was what that in fact felt like what was in fact happening. When I'm not seen and being heard, I feel like I'm silently dying out, as in no transmission there. I don't know. That's that gift. Maybe I need to ask other people that's into marketing about that, if they feel that way. Because to be seen and be heard, once again, is to know you're trying to sell something. But anytime I'm seen and I'm heard, notice I don't even care how I look, because if I really cared, I would put on makeup, right? But the intention is to be seen and heard no matter how I look. I could be laying somewhere in a hospice where people is sick and they're dying off of some terminal illness, and yet I would still want to be seen on a platform where I can be as well as heard, even if I didn't even hardly have my voice. So something stands behind that. Could be God saying, you know what, you're not living your full purpose of what I told you to do in the realm of being seen as well as heard. Because as I said before, and I didn't finish that in my last video, before Mom left, and I said about me doing content marketing, that's a special form of content marketing, is a special form of marketing where you are in fact creating content in order to sell it. My mom was trying to get me to do that right here on YouTube, and her knowing what I already do. Because I'm good in a sense of telling stories, as in past stuff, not being a storyteller, but telling past information, right? And not only that, I'm good with being obsessed of showing myself. That's weird. See, somebody would watch this video and say, you know what, you're completely conceited, or you're completely self-obsessed. Well, maybe, but that's still not the point. Because see, conceit is to just sit here and say, you know what, on video, I'm better than you, the person that's the viewer. Conceited is to say, I'm better than whoever created YouTube. I'm better than the person that's watching me. I'm better than the person that's going to make a comment in the comment section. That's conceited. And yet to be completely obsessed with being seen and heard is to know that marketing stands in that very thing. I don't see nobody that own Walmart walking around putting themselves down, is all I'm trying to say. I don't see nobody like the CEOs at Walmart. I don't see them walking around anywhere. Only people with low self-esteem say that you know what, I'm a nobody. I've heard people expecting me to do that type of thing, put myself down. And yet I can never do that. I might get lost, as I said, trying to find my way to figure out stuff. But I can never get lost as in completely being what I want to be, as in, trying to figure out certain things. You can become lost and say, I want to try this, but I don't know. I want to try that, but I don't know. But to say that you feel good about yourself is high self-esteem in itself. And to try to sell a product has to carry high self-esteem in it, because remember, authenticity plays a part in that. If you are trying to sell a product and you don't believe in that product, and yet you're trying to get other people to buy, it's for them not to want to buy. Because if you don't believe in it, then they're not going to believe in it. Which is why I show so much of the guilty pleasure of being almost, some said, arrogant back then, when I was on social media platforms, wilding out and showing that I was obsessed with showing my face in my music. There was a reason for that, and I felt something was telling me that even back then. The point in the position of me being on places like Facebook or even Twitter and MySpace was not for me just to sit there and read and listen to what other people had to say. It was my purpose in life to own up to who and what I was, as in showing myself off, and not just sitting showing off other people. I knew that back then. I knew even that back then. But to be almost what's the word for it? To be almost a threat to other individuals who don't have high self-esteem, as in they lack self-esteem, is for them to be put off by me, the very individual that holds self-esteem. Once again, you can't sell something in which you don't believe in. If you don't believe that what you're trying to sell is going to get anywhere, and you don't show it off enough for other people. See, you might not even gotta believe that it's going to go somewhere. You might have a product and you might not even believe that it's going to stall. I mean, you might not even believe that that product is going to sell, and yet you put yourself out there anyways, as in tagging other people and showing it off just to get them to buy, and so that they can believe. You got what I'm saying? Because it all points back to selling in the first place. To show that you are willing to put something out there, even in the atmosphere, shows enough that you actually believe, even if you feel timid at times, or frustrated, or in confusion. It takes enough balls to say, you know what? I'm going to put this out there, and they might not sell it, or they may, but I don't know if they really believe, and I don't know if I really believe. But to take the time and put it out there anyways is to show that you in fact believe. And that's what I was doing. That was my practice mindset. It still is today, and yet it's more quiet. The way that I do things nowadays is a little bit more quiet than loud. It's a little less vocal. But who's to say even that's going to stay that way? Because as I continue to create videos, I might become more louder than I ever been in life. Because to see something in video is to play it back, which is the point. You can't really get all loud and vocal as in speaking in written form. You can't. That thing got to be translated by the reader, and sometimes they don't fully translate it. The reader reading you back on something in which you spoken in written form and edited out. Emotion doesn't come all the way through that type of stuff. And yet to be on this camera is to show who you are as well as say who you are.
You grew up here?
And show it for others to see and believe too. You are who you say that you are, which is why I'm on here as well. Nobody know how this story is going to play out is all I'm trying to say. And we leave it at that, as in me not even questioning no further of this. You never know what awaits as in a greater move on the other side of me being a part of this YouTube community. See what I'm saying? Anything could lead to anything in the future. And yet that's not my focus. My focus is to continue to be obsessed with being seen as well as heard. As time goes on, I will continue to share these videos around outside of YouTube platform. I'm gonna need to show my face as well as be seen and heard outside of YouTube and Twitter, like how I used to do it in the past. It's my sole intention from this day out. But I let that even tell itself, as in sell itself, as in allow things to go as they will instead of forcing it. Because right now I'm not comfortable in the area of just putting stuff anywhere. That's what I'm saying. The older I go, the more mature I come and go, as in not lacking confidence and not feeling uncomfortable. But the older I go, I have been trying to be more in control of where I even place my face nowadays. So I'm going to have to work on releasing that, as in just placing my face everywhere like I used to do back in the day. See, God, universe, whoever purposed this, because for me to start not caring and then stop in the process, because see, everything stopped of me doing stuff just for me to go back to school, as in get involved in school where I started and yet didn't finish. Everything stopped, as in came to a standstill, and me trying to start to mature, growing up, life lessons, growth spurts, growing up, trying to do things in a supposed right way. That didn't start happening until me starting to evolve in the area of me going into school. That's when that began. And yet to reverse the tape just a little bit is to go back in the realm of my past, but not all the way completely there, and yet bring some certain pieces from the past right here forward into the future of how I market or even advertise my own being. Letting loose. That's what I got to do. From here on out, that's what I got to do, is do some of that like I used to do in the past, of letting loose. And not caring about the results, and not caring about who sees it, and not caring about who is in disgust or in disapproval of it. Because something, I don't know what shifted or what changed, it had to be school itself. Because see, to have school is to have rules placed upon you. And I never really had rules all like that before then, because I always been a free spirit. And yet once I fell in line with school, I started to shift and change in the area of doing things very strategic like, and not wanting to go outside of that, not wanting to fall outside of that. And not only that, starting to care what other people thought of me. Despite having high self-esteem, starting to care that hopefully I'm not doing this wrong. Because notice, every so often I'm saying, I hope I'm doing this right. I hope I'm doing this right. I hope I'm not doing this wrong. That didn't start really until I enrolled, right before I enrolled in school, where my mind started to shift. So I'm going to have to figure out a way how to rid that some. as in dropping the curtain down, letting all be seen for what it is, despite me maturing. So you can mature, but you can also not forget where you came from in the area of you just allowing things just to be. As in the freedom and lack of control, what I spoke about on the last video of letting go of the outcome. Somewhere around the time of school, right before that, going into school, something completely was holding me tight like this. As in boxed in and can't get out and fighting against the side of each edge. And I think I know what it is, but I can't even speak on that. Of being locked in a box where you are allowing yourself no longer to be seen and no longer be heard. And yet I'm tired of those days, as in it needs to be over, which is why I got here on the YouTube, which is how I got here. I fell right here on YouTube because of that. I got to a point of no longer wanting to be the individual that's no longer seen and heard. I want to be vocal, as in my face plaster out there, as well as my voice being plastered out there. So from this day forward, what comes, but I can no longer live in that box of going untold and not being seen. I need to be recognized is all I'm saying. By my own self, as well as by others, whether they choose to or not to, that part don't matter. And yet I need to be fully recognized. Because that's my thing. That's like my mission in life. I need to be recognized at all hours of the day. And that's not to say that you need to come pay attention to me as I whisper here in this microphone, or you even need to stop everything what you're doing. That's not it. I need to be the star of my show, is what I'm trying to say. I feel every individual in life is given purpose, and they need to be learned as well as guided to be the star and individual of their own show. And stop playing into recognition of everybody else's show. Because remember, they're living their life. But to forget your own is to fall into your own demise, as in you falling off and left for dead while you're worshiping other people. I need to be the star of my show. I'm standing here as a star of my show. And I was standing there on Twitter, on Twitter and Facebook, as well as MySpace, I was standing there as a star of my show. Because even on MySpace, I was trying to get together video sets. Yes, I was. Many people remember that when I was like, okay, the way for us to do a video set, if I have somebody shoot a video, right? Because I knew a few people that were actually into shooting videos, but I myself wasn't fully into that. I was into doing casting calls, and I actually set a casting call right there on my MySpace, and I drew a lot of traffic into me because many people wanted to be involved in that. I put myself out there to do that very thing. So that goes to show being a star of your own show. As in you being yourself, worshiping yourself and not fully others, as in the opposite. That type of thing, me sitting somewhere just worshiping other people is to make my life mimic nothing more than a standstill. See, you can't reach your full purpose doing that. That's why I can't play a part of that, and that's why people are still mad at me in the room of that, of why they're over there obsessed, playing into whoever's role, and those celebrities they're never going to meet, and yet I can't get caught up in that. That's twisted mindset. It is. It leads to nothing more than depression and emptiness. Because as you're sitting there watching those other people go on vacation, I said that before, you're not going anywhere, then you don't have anything to show for it. That was another reason why I was doing street team and stuff, marketing and selling my own packages and stuff like that at face, because I want to be a part of something that I can get into of my own at all hours of the day. Because see, if I take the attention and I sell something that say is a celebrity that's singing and dancing on stage, if I play into that like I did before, doing street teaming and promotion and stuff, all that online together, even doing the forums and the fan clubs and all that, and say they kick me to the curb, then I'm at a complete loss. I'm at a loss. And that they're at a gain because all the strategy that I put together to help them and helping to sell them by ways of marketing is to know they just walked away from me and they used the information in which I helped to front them, and yet I got nothing out of it. I can't be a part of that, not anymore. But if it's an individual, say as this individual that's well known on TV, I can be a part of that because that's completely something different. You got what I'm saying? That's a completely, that right there in itself is my lane anyway. TV and film is my lane anyway. Music kind of is, but my realm in the lane of music is different. Making the beats, making the instrumentals more so than marketing other people is what I'm trying to say. If somebody that was well known on TV kicked me off of something and I'm marketing something for them, I could just walk away and use my skills elsewhere and use it more for myself. Because to learn over there with them is to know you got enough information and knowledge to put it into yourself to feed it back out to the public, right? But if your lane is not completely marketing and advertising in a realm of, say, some other celebrity, male or female, and selling them, if that's not really your sole interest and intention, why do that? Because a day will come where they ain't gonna need you no more and they will kick you to the curb, because that's what many singers do who are famous and well known. Why do that? Why do that? Might as well go do it for somebody in TV and film, as well as sell yourself, which is what I'm in fact doing today. It's my focus of today. So I have to always be seen and heard. I have to be recognized. It's my mission to be recognized. I'm told that by God. Recognition is everything. Because see, even that could lead you to purpose. As in what you're supposed to say, why you're supposed to say it, how you're supposed to do it. And then yet sometimes that comes later, even in not expecting the outcome, as in being caught up in expectation. Sometimes it's just meant for you to do things. It is. And yet to want to be recognized is to know and say and understand there's an absolute gift there. See, when I was doing marketing and stuff like that, there were so many gifts underneath it. Why wouldn't I take the time to do that in place of worshiping other celebrities? I myself am my own celebrity. You yourself watching this is your own celebrity. Why would I take the time of sitting back watching them 1,000,000 hours a day when I had so many gifts and talents myself? First of all, I was writing. To market and advertise something, it's to know you got to have various talents to do it. So I was good at photography for one. I showed my face. That's how I did it, through photography. I was good at writing. I did that as well. In the area of print, enough for you to see it and read it. Being vocal is another one that goes in with writing. And then not only that, being vocal with music is another thing. As well as packaging stuff together in the form of music, as in characters playing out the role in music format. Enough for you to sell it. I myself selling it. So why wouldn't I take it upon myself to do what is supposed to be done for me? As in being seen as well as heard, despite those not agreeing with it. See, to not agree with the fact that somebody's being seen and heard and trying to make themselves be seen and heard, as in the realm of being recognized just for selling something, is to know something is wrong with that other individual as an adult themselves who sat back and watched me for hours on end. There was something in fact wrong with that other individual. I'm saying they should have got up, taken it upon themselves to do the same work, as in put themselves there like I did with myself. That's how you move further in life. That's how you go where you're supposed to go. And yet to watch other people and not play your part, your role and position, is to come to a complete standstill, as in you falling off. Say your career, for example. That's how people's career comes to a complete close, halt, and quick death. Because they sit back watching other people all day, and yet they don't think enough to take it upon their own self, as in their hands, as in putting stuff together, what is going to work for them, or at least trying things out just to see. To never do stuff like that is to know that your career is completely over. And not saying that you should get lost in caring so much about that, but don't judge other people when they take the time to do it themselves, which is what I was doing. I didn't have a choice back then, because I'm like, look, if I'm going to get some stuff started, I got to start now instead of waiting for later. That's what I was thinking. That was a young kid mindset, although it was a grown mindset somewhat. I was childish doing childlike things, but at the same time, I was doing stuff like an adult would. I knew I had to start right where I was. Man, what's that? I knew I had to start where I was. See, in life, it don't always help in life to start something till you get somewhere else. That's a disaster waiting to happen. You should start what you're doing now, today. If I said that I was gonna move to Atlanta, Georgia, like I spoke on, why would I wait till I get all the way to Atlanta, Georgia to start what I should have been starting today? And yet, even if I don't put a lot of care in it, as in not caring, at least there's some effort there to say, you know what? I took it upon myself to start instead of waiting. Because see, to wait on something, to wait to do something, right? Even if it's anything and you don't care about it, as in you just putting effort in and yet you don't care how you do it, that's still countable against you as well. I'm saying it counts for you, because you can move somewhere down to Atlanta, Georgia, or anywhere, Nashville, Texas, and not put in the effort and then get all the way there and be completely unprepared when you get there. I'm saying, and then an opportunity awaits you in which you ain't even ready for. That's why it helps to start where you are with what you got. I can't be bothered with people that's not willing to do the smallest things. People who don't treasure small things are the very people which deserve to be left behind in life. They are. They don't honor the most smallest things, so that's why many people end up being left behind in life. Because to not treasure and honor the small things is to never receive the bigger things. It's to never greet and stand still in front of the bigger moments, is what I'm trying to say. And so, as I stand here in this moment in 2018, I do what I can with not completely caring, as in not latching on and leashing on to the outcome, and yet doing certain things just sometimes to get by. That way, in case I move somewhere and say an opportunity present itself to me, I'm able to take it because I'm proficient in that very thing I chose to start. There's people moving other places, and not once did they try to prep themselves for the very situation in which is waiting them once they get to that other city or state. There's people right now. Hold on. There's people. See, I'm a genius at marketing, right? I know what I'm doing. I know how to endorse. I know how to get celebrities to endorse. I know all that, right? To get celebrities involved in my model, if I want to need them involved in my model of what I'm trying to do and making a come up in life. I know how to do that. And yet there's many people that move to other cities, as in big cities, and don't fully know marketing and advertising, as in how to foot the bill of a platform and making themselves bigger. They didn't practice and study that before they left, and now they forced to start all over in the area of trying to learn even the basic steps of marketing detail on how to sell themselves, and wondering why they're not getting anywhere, as they're stretching themselves thin because they really don't know how to do it. And yet they chose to move somewhere else, thinking that other people is going to show them how to do it. And yet that's common sense, that other people have their own life, as in what they're trying to do, so they can't completely always look out for you 24 hours a day. A lot of that stuff you got to do on your own, as in teaching yourself how to do it, which is why I'm so glad I did a practice of it years back marketing, advertising, street promotion, sitting on panels, trying to understand even the marketing in that aspect, joining a group of people on a discussion on how to sell something that is a product on a global platform and how to sell it in the right way. Just enough to get people to buy. You know what I'm saying? That stuff is best. You can learn stuff later on in life, but sometimes it's best to learn stuff like that when you're younger, because sometimes when it's later on in life and you learn that stuff, sometimes it could take too long, as in it being time consuming. So that's why I said it's best to learn it early, young, the way that I learned it. I can't go back. I can only go forward. So for me to go all the way back trying to learn something that I never learned back then is almost like a waste of time. So I'm so happy that the universe provided the very, learning process of that. We're all adds up. You do stuff before you get to an outside location than trying to start later. Because see, to go to a bigger city is to know that's a wide array in itself of opportunities which awaits you. And yet to be a person fully groomed in that is to know you're one of the first picks, as in selection, as you go. You can get to a bigger city and everybody else trying to figure out their way, how to do this, how to do that, and ain't no doors opening, and yet when you get there, you one of the first people who are given the keys to get through, because you took the time to actually invest yourself and evolve yourself in the learning processes of marketing and advertising. To do that before you go is to know what happens when you get to where you gotta go. And who's to say it's always going to work out? But I did notice a lot of times people that invested years into it, as in the game, as in the practice, as well as them leading up to do certain things for celebrities in the realm of TV shows or even music, those be the first individuals that make it, as in blowing up big once they move to a bigger city outside of where they're living. It's stepping outside of your comfort level. So you practice those things, even if you come from a small town, you practice those things before you ever make it to a bigger city. People they got to think about that. Let go of the outcome, but practice what you want to do and what you want to be before you get to a bigger city, and know and understand that marketing is at the forefront of all that. Marketing sells it. To not understand that is to complete lose at the game. And yet I know and understand it, which is why, with me being a marketing genius that I am, yes, I'm a marketing genius. I can sell anything I believe in my heart, soul, and passion. Which is why I slowed down my steps in that lane. Because to have practiced something for so long, we go all the way back to, when was MySpace? When I was on MySpace? 2005, 2006, to go all the way back then. It's to know you done had a lot of times on your hand to perfect that skill. So to slow it down until I get to, say, Atlanta, Georgia, is to stop for a little bit, although I'm doing YouTube, but it's to stop to see when I actually get there how to start to put pieces back together to move everything in motion again, getting everything speeded back up. I like to prepare myself before I do things, right? Without being clinging to the outcome. I like to prepare myself in the area of knowing when I need to stop. As in I need to come to a halt, as in a standstill. As in no driving further from the present moment, so that I can improve on the very skill that I need to do in order to take it with me when I move down south. Which is going to happen. That very thing is coming next. I can sense it and I can feel it. My next home, as in home, living quarters, plasma, whatever you want to call it, plasma TV screen, all that will in fact be going down to Atlanta, Georgia. Everything I'm doing right now will be transferred over to Atlanta, Georgia, will be my home space, or just Georgia in particular, is where I will be living next. And the thing, as in the game that I'm practicing now, will have to be transferred over. All being viewed on the TV set. via MySpace. No, I'm just playing. MySpace is gone, ain't it? Via YouTube. Even this YouTube ordeal, I'm not even trying to get mixed up in that, but this YouTube ordeal could be plotting and planning for me something bigger in the realm of TV, even down in Georgia. It could be prepping and preparing my face to even be on TV. National TV, who knows? You never even know. You never know till you get there. And what is wrong with internet? Cause I gotta get down to Georgia, even though I didn't want to go there. I gotta get down to Atlanta, Georgia, only because not only does my aunt live there, but the TV and film industry is completely on the blow up down in Georgia. So I have to put myself in areas of where I'm very knowledgeable at. I can't let those talents and gifts just waste away. I gotta place myself where they're able to be seen. And I'm going to have to even groom myself on that. May the universe lead me in that. As in the struggle of the outcome, not getting caught up in that and just letting everything, take its course. Take its natural course of just being led. Because see, I might get down to Georgia and end up on somebody's film. I'm saying a global film that spans everywhere, all across Hollywood and everything. You never even know. And yet to not take a chance, as in me put my face there, is to not know how and why it's going to happen. But I sense even that. When I was asked, as in the request to be, when I was requested by the OWN network for my face to be on that commercial that they created, and I wasn't a part of it, I said no. There was a reason for that. There was in fact a reason for that. Why I pulled back. Certain things I pulled back, as in the offers. And yet from here on out, it's to go ahead and go through with the offers. I'm sensing that. I can't waste no more time. I have to take all offers that presents itself. I do. I love Hollywood stuff, right? I love Hollywood stuff, as in the lifestyle. But what I don't love about Hollywood, and I spoke this before, was the glamour aspect, because I'm not a glamorous individual. I'll put on a suit and tie in a minute because that's my style. Suit and tie, a hat tilted to the side or cocked to the side with some nice socks and some shoes shined up, black boots or something. But I don't really get into the glamour. I'm not going to be wearing a dress and all that. So I just feel like from here on out, it's time for me to take chances. Even in the room of seeing Georgia and seeing what opportunities await me down there. Greenleaf has been known to be, filmed and taped down there as well. Many people don't know that. Greenleaf, the show that they sing gospel and everything is presented on the OWN network. Oprah is actually behind that. They've been known to do filming and stuff like that down in Atlanta, Georgia. So I have to see, because there's many things that I actually wanted to do and I have wanted to do, and yet I haven't set myself out there because I've been going through this whole preparation process. To go through preparation process is to be altered in form so that you can go ahead and walk within what you're supposed to walk. And yet with marketing, I feel like I can really go no higher in marketing than just to say and show. But with everything else, that all comes in time. So I'm going to end this video. I think that's all to be said. Put yourself out there, be unafraid, and don't expect in the expectation. Just let things, allow things to be, as in the art of allowing, and not stepping on the tippy toes of resistance, because to meet resistance is to remain stuck, as in going up against a wall and you trying to push things further, sometimes in seasons of when they're not supposed to actually be pressed. you're supposed to allow. Yeah.